Have you ever hit a wall with a problem so complex that your usual simple apps just throw their hands up? Yeah, we're not talking about your everyday convenience apps today. We're diving deep into the world of high-stakes workflows, the kind built for serious industrial environments, where one tiny mistake can be a disaster and reliability is absolutely everything. Let's get into it.
So let's just start with the big question right out of the gate. We all love simple automation, right? But why do those tools totally fall apart when the stakes get really high? I'm talking about places like manufacturing floors, where a single process can take hours, not seconds, where a real human has to sign off, and where one little slip-up can lead to, well, massive losses. What makes these places so different?
Here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to really nail down the high-stakes automation problem. Then, we'll unpack Daxi's super clever two-part solution. After that, we get to the proof, a really mind-blowing 95% time saving. And finally, we'll see how this whole approach empowers not just the human experts, but AI too.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the high-stakes automation problem. This is all about pinpointing exactly where those simple, everyday apps just can't keep up.
This right here, this is the tough reality of an industrial floor. I mean, just think about it. Your processes don't take a few seconds. They can run for hours. You've got mandatory human approvals. You can't get around them. And the cost of a mistake isn't just a bounced email. It's a huge financial hit. And to top it all off, you have all these different systems that aren't even talking to each other. This is exactly the kind of environment where standard automation tools just, well, they just break.
So, how in the world do you solve a problem that complicated? Let's move on to Daxi's really elegant two-part solution. It completely redefines how these critical workflows get built and how they run. Okay, so the first piece of this puzzle is something called a domain-specific language, or DSL. Now, don't let the name scare you. This isn't some complex programming language like Python. Think of it more like a custom instruction manual for a very specific job, like quality control. It's designed so the expert on site, the person who actually knows the process inside and out, can read and write it. Honestly, just think of it like a recipe or a set of Lego instructions.
And this shows you just how simple and intuitive it really is. Instead of a bunch of confusing code, the workflow is laid out in clear, logical steps anyone can get. Step 1, search for the data. Step 2, analyze it for any issues. Step 3, if you find a problem, go get a manager's approval. It's a direct translation of what happens in the real world into a clean set of instructions. So simple, right?
Okay, so the DSL tells us what needs to happen. That makes a ton of sense. But here's the next big question. In a super busy place with all these independent systems running around, how do they talk to each other reliably? You can't just have one system sitting there holding its breath, waiting for another one to finish its job. It's got other stuff to do.
And this brings us to the second key idea, event-based workflows. It's not a direct phone call. It's more like a central bulletin board. Check out this flow. First, a service publishes a request. It's like pinning a note on the board that says, hey, can someone analyze this? Then, and this is the magic part, it detaches. The original service doesn't wait around. It goes off and does other work. Then, the write analysis service, which is subscribed to that board, sees the note and picks it up when it's ready. And finally, when it's done, it posts the answer on a different results board. Nobody wastes any time waiting. That is the core of it.
This slide just nails the fundamental difference. So many other tools work like a phone call. That's called a synchronous API call. They need an answer right now. But if the job on the other end of the line takes a few hours, that call is going to time out and fail. Daxi, on the other hand, works like registered mail. It's asynchronous. The message gets sent, it's guaranteed to be delivered, and the person on the other end deals with it when they're ready. For the real, messy world of industry, this is just so much more stable.
So, we've covered the theory. Now let's see what this actually looks like when the rubber meets the road. We're going to dig into a case study from a core manufacturing process, and believe me, the results are pretty stunning. This little comparison table makes it crystal clear. Daxi is asynchronous, so it handles those long tasks and human approvals gracefully. The synchronous tools, they just risk timing out. But look at the bottom two rows, reliability and audit trail. This is huge. Daxi has built-in guarantees that no message ever gets lost. In an industry like manufacturing, where you might have to trace a tiny defect all the way back through every single step it took, that level of traceability isn't a nice-to-have, it's non-negotiable. It's a completely different league of reliability. The case study we're looking at is all about something called the 4M change workflow. Now, this is a supercritical process in manufacturing that manages any change to man, machine, material, or method.
Think about that for a second. Any change has to be tracked perfectly. It's a massive source of slowdowns and bottlenecks.
And here it is, the staggering difference. The old way? If a quality engineer needed to tweak the process, maybe to meet new market demands, it was a 1 to 2 week ordeal. You'd file a ticket with IT, wait for a developer to code it, then they'd have to test it, deploy it. It was just painfully slow. But with Daxi, the expert who knows the process best, that engineer on the floor, just opens up the simple DSL file and modifies it directly. The total time it takes? 10 minutes.
So what's the result of going from weeks to minutes? This isn't just some small improvement. It is a revolutionary change in business agility, and it can all be summed up in one single powerful number.
95%. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the amount of time saved every single time a critical workflow needs to be changed. In a market that moves at lightning speed, being able to adapt your core processes in minutes instead of weeks isn't just an efficiency gain, it is a massive competitive advantage.
And that leads us perfectly into our final section. Because this technology isn't just about making things faster, it's about shifting control and getting ready for the future. It's really about empowering both the experts and even artificial intelligence. And this is the human side of the story. That 95% stat isn't just a number on a spreadsheet. It's a feeling. It's the quality engineer on the factory floor suddenly realizing, my process, the one I know better than anyone, is finally under my control. I don't have to wait for anybody. That right there is what true empowerment looks like.
Okay, now let's look to the future a bit. Everyone's trying to figure out how to bring generative AI into their operations. But let's be honest, a lot of people are nervous because it can be so unpredictable. So how does a highly structured, reliable approach like Daxi's actually provide a safety net for a technology as wild as AI?
This is how Daxi becomes a powerful safety harness for AI. The DSL gives the AI a very specific, defined set of information to work with. No more, no less. Then the system checks the AI's output to make sure it fits the format you expect. And most importantly, it can enforce a rule that says any final critical decision must be approved by a human. This is what transforms AI from a kind of uncontrollable rogue agent into a trustworthy, reliable expert assistant.
So, when you boil it all down, everything we've talked about today comes back to this one core principle. You define the complex rules of your world with a clear, human-readable DSL. And then, the system executes that definition flawlessly, without any errors, to give you valuable insights. That's the real magic behind a workflow that can truly change an industry.
So I'll leave you with one final thought to chew on. Think about the most complex, the most important process in your own business. Can you say with 100% confidence that it is truly, completely under your control?